What is up, everyone? Welcome to Flippin' Bats. The winter meetings have come and gone, and they started off a little bit slower, and they ended up with quite a lot happening. We're going to talk all about it today. There's a big trade of Garrett Crochet. We're going to talk about the Baltimore Orioles and what they are doing. The Yankees have officially transitioned to Plan B. Plan A was Juan Soto. Plan B is starting to unfold. So we'll talk about what they're doing. Cal Tucker has become a part of that. The Astros are seemingly becoming more and more interested in trading away Kyle Tucker and or Framber Valdez. Talk about that. Alex Bregman mentioned as well. Cubs in on that trade. And then just a little update on Roki Sasaki and where he stands currently. So a lot to talk about today. As usual, Flippin' Bats is presented by Go Sleeves, the best recovery tool on the market for honestly any athlete. GoSleeves.com, Verlander. Check it all out. They have knee, calf, elbow sleeves. They have a lot of different sleeves with the kinesiology tape inside of the compression sleeve, which is obviously really cool. 2-in-1, a lot of data behind it. Go check it out. GoSleeves.com/Verlander. Winter meetings down in Dallas this year. A lot always happens. For those that aren't entirely sure what the purpose is of the winter meetings, when I was there a couple of years ago when I was in San Diego, was told this, and actually didn't know myself. So if you didn't know why it still happens, obviously I knew it's where everybody gets together and GMs and players and coaches are all there and everybody's in one place and deals get done. But what made a lot of sense to me is before the days of cell phones and the internet and being able to easily reach out to people, it was just a way of getting everybody in the same area, in the same building. And GMs and managers and all these people would get together and have meetings. And then at night, everybody would, a couple people would go down to the bar and you're sitting there having a drink and you slide across a napkin with a number on it and deals just get done that way. So it's evolved with technology and phones and the internet, but deals still do get done that way. And people still meet up and have meetings and get deals done. So that's often why we see a lot of things happening when this is going on. And a lot did happen this year. Most recently, I would say Garrett Crochet, who is a big name mentioned here, big left-handed pitcher. But Garrett Crochet is heading to the Boston Red Sox in a move that they desperately needed to make. The Boston Red Sox have become or had become just the interest kings. They were interested in everybody, but get nobody. And that's been the way it's been for a while at this point. They're interested in Max Fried. They're interested in Corbin Burns. They're interested in Garrett Crochet. They're interested in this and that and Teoscar Hernandez and so many different people, but nothing ever actually happens. Well, they did get this done. They did go out and get Garrett Crochet in a move that desperately needed to be made. Now, it was expensive. They did have to give up Kyle Teal, catcher, and Braden Montgomery, outfielder, to the White Sox. Their last two first-round picks. It's been 8 years since the Red Sox traded 4 prospects for Chris Sale. And that happened at the winter meetings as well. So last time they traded for an elite starter, Chris Sale, 8 years ago at the winter meetings. Now they're trading for Garrett Crochet, which is a little more risky, right? We are 1 year removed, not even, from Garrett Crochet, who was a big question mark, becoming a starting pitcher and then becoming a dominant starting pitcher. So we can't just gloss over the fact. Now, again, I do like this for the Red Sox, but we can't just gloss over the fact that he is a big, massive question mark. If you remember at the end of last year, it was, okay, we want to trade Garrett Crochet, but he came out publicly and said, I'm not going to pitch in the playoffs unless I get extended. And everybody's, well, like, pump the brakes here. You've never pitched this many innings in your life, and it's August, right? You're already over your all-time innings. So what you have to prove yourself. Now, the White Sox did pseudo shut him down. He continued to pitch, but would throw maybe 1 inning, maybe 2 innings, really shut down his innings there. Um, but when he was pitching, even late in the year, he is dominant. He is a dominant left-handed pitcher that, if I'm being honest with you guys, I'm glad is getting out of the White Sox organization and is going to an organization that has seemingly been able to take pitchers and get the best out of them. What Andrew Bailey has done there has been huge. So Red Sox get their guy, steep price to pay. You have to extend him, but this is the price you pay for a cheap starting pitcher, cheap contract wise, a cheap starting pitcher with 2 years of control. But again, go extend him. If you're the Red Sox, you have to get that done. You have to do more. The rest of the division, in my opinion, is becoming more and more within reach, right? I don't see the Yankees right now as good as a World Series team. I know they got there last year. I don't view this current form of a Yankees team as a World Series team. Even with Juan Soto, I would have said they're not getting back to the World Series. Right now, as they stand, not a World Series team. Orioles, we'll talk about them in a second. Who the hell knows what's going on? Blue Jays, I don't know. You're keeping Vlad Jr.? Are you trading Vlad Jr.? Are you going to re-sign him? Are you trading Bo Bichette? Are you getting you didn't get Shohei Ohtani, you didn't get Juan Soto, but you had $700 million on the table there. Now what are you transitioning to? It's the same thing year after year with them. We're in for $1.5 billion on the best player ever. Oh, we didn't get him? All right, we'll see you next year. What are you going to do now? Take that money and spend it on players that can help your team. So the Red Sox can't be done. They shouldn't be done. I think they need another arm. I think their offense is going to be it can be sneaky good. There's some injury concerns. You need Trevor Story to stay healthy. You need him to be back to some form of what he was. You don't have Tyler O'Neill. So I still think there's a few things the Red Sox need to do. But this AL East, in my opinion, isn't this unwinnable division. There's more that needs to be done there. But what has seemingly happened with Fried to the Yankees and Crochet to the Red Sox is this arms race that we're getting now in the AL East. It's almost like the AL East of old. Red Sox, Yankees going at it at the winter meetings. Arm race here. The Yankees get this guy, and the Red Sox one-up them and get this guy. Not saying Garrett Crochet is a one-up from Max Fried, but I'm just saying we're getting an arms race here. And the team that's seemingly falling out of this arms race is the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles, what are you doing? It has been 3 years at this point of me clamoring into the abyss to go sign this player and go add to this core and trade for this player and do this. And please, for the love of God, sign somebody. But now it's the end of the winter meetings. And the only big news that we have out of Baltimore is that they're moving the wall back in. I mean, come on. GM Mike Elias was on MLB Network and was talking about the wall. They said, why'd you move the wall back in? And he said, because I wanted to sign Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez. No discredit to Tyler O'Neill or Gary Sanchez. But come on. That's not the signing we're talking about. Tyler O'Neill, when healthy, good. Massive question marks about his health. But still not the signing I'm talking about. What? You lost Anthony Santander, a 40 homer guy. Where are you going to make up that production from? That's not going to come from Tyler O'Neill. You have back-to-back years of a first-round exit in the playoff, years where your team could not hit when you got to October. You continue to bet on and believe in these young guys. And I agree, I like these young guys. But at a certain point, you have to add around them. You traded for Corbin Burnes. You didn't sign Corbin Burnes. You didn't extend Corbin Burnes when you did have him. And it's now currently left you with a rotation of Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin, and then some form of Dean Kramer, Wells, Rogers, Suarez, whoever's healthy, which just is not good enough. Why didn't you extend Corbin Burnes when you did have him? Now there's rumors that the Orioles are in on him. What do you mean? You had him. Now go re-sign him or extend him. I just go sign players to pair with this young core. We heard it before this new ownership group and David Rubenstein took over that, okay, you now have these players in place, but before they took over, it was the cold hard reality is we can't re-sign all of these guys. Okay, well now you're going to waste their window. You have a small window where all of these guys are on minuscule contracts. It's an owner's and a GM's dream to do that. And then at the same time, you have a new ownership group come in that wants to spend money is excited about the Baltimore Orioles being good. This is a dream scenario, but you're not taking advantage of it. Go sign players. If you're that worried about having to pay them, then bring in a guy like a Teoscar Hernandez on a whatever year deal it's going to take. Let's say it's I don't know, 3 to 5 years. Front load it. Front load the contract. Bring in whoever you need to, but front load the contract. Bring in a veteran player that is comfortable and knows how to hit in October, because this team that is continually told they're going to be good. They're so young. Just wait, just wait, just wait. I've been waiting 3 years, and the trigger has yet to be pulled on a big time free agent. It's frustrating to watch happen. Then, as of today, December 12th, a report comes out that the Orioles and GM Mike Elias have been given the green light to spend money by this new ownership group, the green light from David Rubenstein to spend money. And GM Mike Elias is not doing it. He doesn't want to do it. The report also says that when Juan Soto was with the Padres, that GM Mike Elias was given the green light there. I don't even know if that probably honestly that would be a great move for this team and organization with the young offense that they do have. But he didn't pull the trigger. And guess what? That trigger hasn't been pulled in 3 years from a free agent perspective, a big time free agent perspective. Let's go. Kick it into high gear, Baltimore Orioles. I I have been one of the main voices outside of Baltimore to believe in this team starting years ago. I saw it on paper. I saw it on the field. I saw from the second that Adley Rutschman became a Baltimore Oriole, that organization changed around from the day that happened. And then young talent after young talent come up. But Mike Elias did this in Houston. When that talent finally got there, he brought in a Justin Verlander to pair. And then he got re-signed there, and then brought in a Garrett Cole, and then brought in, you just make these signings and bring in these players that add to your team. Brought in a Michael Brantley, a veteran older bat that was going to hit you 300 the second he wakes up. Brought in these guys that helped that core turn into the pseudo dynasty that it did. But I've been saying this Baltimore Orioles team can turn into a dynasty, but we're losing that window. That window is it's been open, but we're not doing anything about it. So it's frustrating. Winter meetings have come and gone, and the Orioles are bringing in their left field wall. Congratulations. Jesus, sign somebody. Let's stick in the AL East. New York Yankees. We talked about the Soto signing, obviously, with the Mets, $765 million for 15 years. The Yankees did offer 16 years and $760 million. I think that this is a good thing for the Yankees. I think it's a great thing for the Mets that they get Soto, because Steve Cohen doesn't care about some sort of luxury tax. He doesn't. He does not care. But the Yankees do. I think it's a good thing that the Yankees did not end up with Juan Soto, but you have to turn that plan B into something positive. Turn that $760 million into something different. And in my opinion, I said this the other day, that plan B needs to be signing at least 3 of Max Fried, Corbin Burns, Christian Walker, Cody Bellinger, Roki Sasaki, Anthony Santander, Alex Bregman. Add Kyle Tucker to that list, which we'll talk about. I know Bellinger needs to be traded for, but that is on the table seemingly. So that needed to be done. And I think what needs to happen with the Yankees is they need to learn from the Juan Soto situation when it comes to trading for guys. When it comes to, do you trade for Cody Bellinger? When it comes to Kyle Tucker, who the Astros are interested in trading, are open to listening on Kyle Tucker, and the Yankees immediately jump out as big time suitors for him. But here again, Kyle Tucker is on a 1 year. It's the last year of his deal. He's set to become a free agent. The Yankees have a problem. Okay? The Yankees have an organizational issue at this point. The Yankees have a bad farm system. 29th out of 30th in the last Bleacher Report farm system report. 29th out of 30 teams. They have a farm system problem. That was never a big issue for them because they would get guys in house. They would pay for them. They would bring them in. They would pay the massive contract, or they would trade away prospects to get a guy, and then they would re-sign him. The Yankees never lose a big-time free agent. But that's different now. And I think the Yankees are going to have to go about things differently. And people are going to say, Ben, you're a hater on the Yankees. You're just hating on the Yankees. No, I respect the Yankees' history, but we also need to have a conversation about why the Yankees haven't won since 2009. And the path is now different for them to win. You traded a big part of the farm and a current big leaguer, a couple big leaguers for Juan Soto, with the thoughts and hopes that you are going to do what you've always done. You bring in the best player, you extend the best player, or you sign the best player in free agency. But that's not the case anymore. You lost out on Michael King and Drew Thorpe, who got flipped into Dylan Cease for 1 year of Juan Soto. And then you lost him in free agency because of Steve Cohen. And that's the cold, hard reality I think the Yankees need to look in the mirror at, is saying, okay, let's say we trade again. Let's say we trade for Kyle Tucker, a massive name. Kyle Tucker is a superstar, perennial MVP candidate, hurt a good bit of last year, but when he was playing, better OPS plus than Juan Soto. He's up on every single leaderboard you can find with OPS. He's a star. So you're going to have to give up a lot to get him. Is that smart if you only get him for 1 year? Does he hit free agency and you lose out on Kyle Tucker again to a Steve Cohen? Do you say, okay, well, they just got an outfielder. I don't know if they spend that much more. I don't think it matters. I don't think you can afford to risk that anymore. You are no longer guaranteed to be the big dog in town when you open up your wallet. And that to me just says you have to go about things differently. I could trade away the reigning rookie of the year, Luis Gil, to get a Kyle Tucker before, because I know at the end of the year, whether we extend him or not, we are going to be the big dog in the room when it comes to money. But that's not the case anymore. So I don't know if trading for Kyle Tucker is the answer for the New York Yankees and just depleting that farm system again and again and again, and then potentially losing out on a big-time free agent. I say flip that $760 million. You already did it with Max Fried. Max Fried, 8 years, $218 million. Let's talk about that. I do like the deal. There's a lot of criticism out there for, well, you're giving a guy 8 years that's 31 years old and injury prone. Well, I get that, but it's a lower AAV. You gave him 8 years because you had to do that to get it done. But I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, $765 million to Juan Soto is a lot, but it ain't my money. So good, you go get the best player. Max Fried is one of the best pitchers available during free agency, during the offseason, and you went and did what it took to get it done. Right? Is he going to be a star when he's at the end of this contract? No, but you're not paying him this for the end of the contract. You just paid $218 million for one of the best pitchers in the league. And when healthy, he's got one of the lowest ERA of an active pitcher in all of baseball. He's a stud. I love this move for the Yankees. I love that they did it. Do I love that it's 8 years? No, but I am not worried about 2032. I'm worried about 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. Get me a championship in there. So good for the Yankees for going to get this done. A lot of hate out there because of the length of the contract. I don't care. You're not going to be counting on him as a number 2 starter in 8 years. It's going to be a different look. That's fine. Would you feel better about it if you had to pay $218 million for 5 years? It's like everyone either gets upset over the years or the money. It's not your money, and it's a low AAV in the meantime. So fine for me. Garrett Cole, Max Fried at the top of the rotation. Absolutely nasty. I still think the Yankees need more. Again, you need 3 or 4 of these guys that I mentioned. They have one. Max Fried, Corbin Burnes, Christian Walker, Bellinger, Sasaki, Santander, Bregman, Tucker. Pete Alonso on there, I would say, but I hear the market's not good. There's not good. I hear there's not much of a market for Pete Alonso right now. So we'll see. There have been extensive talks from what I hear with Alex Bregman. There is a lot of interest there, which is just it's funny to me. It's not going to be funny. I think a lot of people want Alex Bregman brought in house. Alex Bregman gets booed almost as much as Jose Altuve when heading to Yankee Stadium because he was a part of that 2017 Astro team. But the second you're like, oh wait, we could get this guy on our team, and he's a good baseball player and plays a good third base and can really is a superstar in the playoffs. Yeah, you know what? I want that guy. The hypocrisy. Come on now. But Alex Bregman is of big time interest to the Yankees. Here's what I think. My lasting point on the Yankees when it comes to free agency and not specifically just Kyle Tucker. The Yankees sign Alex Bregman, sign Christian Walker, and call it an offseason. Right? If you go out and get Max Fried, Alex Bregman, and Christian Walker, and you can add all those guys into your lineup, now we're talking. Now that's a great offseason. Again, you could throw in one more of those, maybe a trade for Bellinger. I don't know. But now we're talking a great offseason. That's the Yankees' plan B is better than the plan A. They just have to execute on it properly. Kyle Tucker. This kind of came out of nowhere. Came out of nowhere on the last full day of the winter meetings on Wednesday. Maybe it was Tuesday. I don't know. But a report came out that the Astros were, let's say, open to listening, is what was said. The Astros were open to listening on Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez. But that quickly started evolving into the Astros are willing to trade Kyle Tucker, which evolved into the Astros are likely trading Kyle Tucker, which evolved even more into the Astros are, I would say, most likely trading Kyle Tucker. It all happened so quick and really came out of nowhere. And you think, okay, wait a second. The Astros are going to be one of the favorites to win the American League. The Astros are now open to trading their MVP candidate. And I do want to talk about this from an Astros perspective, but first, continually from a Yankees perspective, the Yankees are the Astros are reportedly asking for Luis Gil in the trade. Luis Gil, the rookie of the year in the American League, I think a stud right-handed pitcher. I said this way. He hit a wall in the second half, but I thought looked good in the playoffs. Really good first half. I think the guy's really good. The Astros are asking for Luis Gil and obviously a bit more in there for Kyle Tucker. I said I don't think the Yankees do it. I don't think you can do what you used to do. because you can lose out on free agents now. I don't think you trade the farm that's already a poopy farm for Kyle Tucker. I don't think you do that. The Cubs are also interested big time in Kyle Tucker and apparently are aggressively pursuing him. The Astros in that trade are wanting Seiya Suzuki and Isaac Paredes, who they tried to trade for before. A big time name, that not a big time name, but a guy that they really like, third baseman. The fact that the Astros are even really pursuing Suzuki and Paredes, who's a third baseman, tells me that they think they are missing out on Alex Bregman, which I also agree to be true, especially once the Yankees lost out on Juan Soto. I think that Bregman price went way too high up for Jim Crane. So Yankees in on him big time, Cubs in on him big time. I have also heard Phillies and Giants are interested in Kyle Tucker and have at least checked in. From an Astros perspective, why trade Kyle Tucker? What is happening? Why has all this happened so quick? Are they not planning to be competitive in 2025? What is happening? How is this happening? And why did it happen so quick? Here's the reality of the conversation that we need to have. Jim Crane admittedly says that you're not going to see him do more than a 6-year deal, right? You're not going to see him do that. They had Kyle Tucker in-house, and Kyle Tucker, who has become an absolute star in this league. And you look around at what stars are getting paid, and I promise you, I can't promise you, but I guarantee you, close to the same thing. I guarantee you what happened is that Jim Crane looks up. Kyle Tucker's not Juan Soto, but he's not far. If I do say so myself, Kyle Tucker's a stud, but he's not Juan Soto. But you look up and you say, Juan Soto just got paid $765 million for 15 years. What does that mean for Kyle Tucker? And if you're Jim Crane, you're probably saying if it's even half of that, which it's going to be more. If it's even half of that, we're talking about 7 to 8 years for $400 million. And he's not going to do it. He doesn't do those deals. And it's not that he doesn't want a competitive team. Jim Crane has continually said, as long as I'm here, the window will be open. So this is what teams have to do. These are the hard conversations that you have to have if you're a team that doesn't have Steve Cohen at the helm that's just going to spend just to spend. You have to have those hard conversations of how can we still be competitive, but also set us up for the future. Worst case scenario, we go out this year, do not win the World Series, and then we lose Kyle Tucker for nothing. Right now, you could trade Kyle Tucker for something close to the American League Rookie of the Year and more. Seiya Suzuki and Paredes and a top prospect. Just big-time big leaguers and top prospects you could trade for right now. So look, I like Kyle Tucker a lot. Kyle Tucker is a friend of mine. I want him to do well. I want the Astros to do well. Do I think the Astros are as good this year without Kyle Tucker? That answer is very clearly no. But can they be better off over the course of the next 5 where you want that window to remain open? Yes, they absolutely can. So that's why you start talking about Kyle Tucker and Framber Valdez, because they are on the last year of their deals. They are free agents after this year, and you're probably not going to be able to sign them. So go trade him. Look in the mirror. Look at the Los Angeles Angels, who had the greatest talent in the history of baseball and lost him for a bag of peanuts as a compensation pick in the draft. Right? And then contrast that to the Washington Nationals, who had Juan Soto at his young age, traded him away for a Mackenzie Gore and a CJ Abrams and some other multiple big names. at this point. Names that we can say, wow, those guys are pretty good. And then the Padres saying we probably should trade Juan Soto and trade him for Drew Thorpe, who turns into to Dylan Cease, and trade him for Michael King, who turns into one of, if not the best pitcher in their rotation. So it's these hard conversations. It's the reason I love baseball, right? You can be competitive if you're anybody, but you can't always go about it the right way. The Houston Astros can't be competitive by doing what the New York Mets are doing. The New York Mets the New York Yankees can't be competitive by doing what the Houston Astros are doing. And it's a fascinating because their farm system's not good enough. It's a fascinating circle, which is why I love it. And until it's proven to be necessary, there's not a salary cap needed in baseball because you constantly have these teams rebuilding that get rebuilt at the perfect time, and then you constantly have these teams that are able to pay, and it's just this battle. But the Astros are in that battle right now. And the farm system that has continually replenished their again, pseudo dynasty is not there anymore. That farm system has dried up. So go replenish that while still being competitive. I think you can do that, but that is why they are at least open and willing to trade Kyle Tucker. If you don't get the right package, then keep him. If you do get the right package, trade him. If it gets to the trade deadline and you are not entirely sure that if you get to the trade deadline and it's similar to last year, trade him. But that is why the Astros are open and willing to trade Kyle Tucker, and there's a lot of teams, obviously, very interested in that. Roki Sasaki, the biggest international free agent, one of the biggest free agents available at this point. Roki Sasaki, we talked about his window. His window is now open, runs through January 23rd, but he will not be signing until January 15th, that new 2025 international signing period, just because everybody will have money on the table. Now, his agent has come out and spoken about where Roki Sasaki stands and has said a couple things that are interesting to me. One of them being it actually might be more beneficial for him to sign with a smaller market team. So we are very open and interested in listening on anybody and everybody. Which I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. Obviously, he's going to sign a minor league deal. He's signing a rookie deal. Anybody can sign him. Anybody will have the money to do it. But you do want him to be in a place where you prioritize one, winning. No, probably one, development. One, development. Two, winning. And three, if you can choose anywhere, development, winning, and a place that can pay you when you're able to, when you're able to get paid. So I don't necessarily buy the small market thing, but I do agree that anybody can sign him. And if you're focused on development, well, there's a lot of places that can really develop you as a pitcher. And one, dare I say, I'm not saying he should go here, but if we're just talking about development and smaller markets, Brent Strom just went to the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? Brent Strom is a legend as a pitching guru. Be in a rotation with Paul Skeens. Think about that. Paul Skeens, Roki Sasaki, and Jared Jones at the top of rotation. That'd be pretty sick. The Mets with Hefner there, with Jeremy Hefner, a pitching clinic. You want to talk about developing of pitchers. Look what he's done over the last couple of years with getting a Luis Severino in-house, getting a Sean Manaea in-house, and totally bringing them back to really good pitchers. Roki Sasaki could be another name there. They certainly have the money to sign him long-term, and I've heard that could be a potential fit as well. So the Roki Sasaki news is just interesting. The window is open. He is able and is talking to teams at this point, but he will not sign still for a couple of weeks, but he has to sign before January 23rd. So keep that in mind. A lot happened at the winter meetings. They started slow. They did start with Juan Soto news on Sunday. And then, I feel like when this happens, the market just kind of resets, right? Everybody is waiting for Juan Soto. And why? It's not that everybody believes they can sign Juan Soto. It's that there's about to be $750 million spent in this market that we all play in. We all play in this field. There's about to be almost $1 billion spent here. Let's see how that shakes out and where that goes, and then see who's available and figure out the market from there. And that is exactly what happened. And last year, it's a totally different year than last year. Now things start happening and happening fairly quickly. Last year, Ohtani didn't sign until later, and that just delayed things. It was a slow-moving offseason because everybody was waiting on that. Now Soto's out of the way. Pieces start falling. Crochet moves, and just more and more signings are going to start happening. There's a three-way trade with – it wasn't technically a three-way trade. There's a trade with the Guardians and the Jays, sending Andres Jimenez to the Jays, and then Spencer Horwitz, who the Guardians got in return. They flip him to the Pirates, and just there's a lot going on now, and I love it. I'm imagining a lot will happen over the next few days, and we'll probably talk about that again as well when all that happens. But Crochet to Boston. Orioles, do something. Yankees plan B is better than their plan A as long as it's executed properly. Kyle Tucker is available to any and all for the right price. Roki Sasaki is talking to teams. Baseball is rolling right now, my friends, and I absolutely love it. Thank you all for listening to this episode. Please hit that subscribe, follow button wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Leave a 5-star review. That does really help. On YouTube, Flippin' Bats Pod YouTube channel. Watch it, subscribe, leave a comment, like it. It all really does help. I always hop in the comments there and talk to you guys, and really love doing that. And follow us on all social media as well, at Flippin' Bats Pod, anywhere you can think of. Love you guys. Love this community. Love baseball. Love the baseball offseason. Things are rolling. And remember, until next time, my friends, find your bat and flip it. Peace.